A carbon footprint refers to the total amount of greenhouse gases, particularly carbon dioxide, or CO2, that are emitted into the atmosphere as a result of human activities. This includes emissions from burning fossil fuels for electricity, heating, and transportation, as well as from the production and consumption of goods and services. The concept of a carbon footprint has gained significant attention as the world grapples with climate change. However, measuring carbon footprints accurately is a complex and often challenging task. One of the primary reasons carbon footprints are tricky to measure is the sheer diversity of activities that contribute to emissions. Every product we buy, every mile we drive, and even the food we eat has a carbon cost associated with it. For instance, the carbon footprint of a product includes not just the emissions from its manufacturing, but also from the extraction of raw materials, transportation, packaging, and disposal. This complex web of contributing factors makes it difficult to assign an exact carbon footprint to any single activity or product. Moreover, the methodologies used to calculate carbon footprints vary widely. Different organizations and studies may use different assumptions, data sources, and boundaries for what they include in their calculations. For example, some may account for indirect emissions, such as those from the supply chain, while others may focus only on direct emissions. This variability leads to inconsistencies in the results, making it hard to compare carbon footprints across different contexts. Despite the challenges in measurement, there are ways to reduce carbon footprints. One of the most effective methods is to decrease energy consumption, particularly from fossil fuels. This can be achieved by improving energy efficiency in homes, offices, and industries. Simple actions like using energy-efficient appliances, insulating buildings, and turning off lights when not in use can significantly reduce emissions. Additionally, shifting to renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and hydroelectric power can dramatically cut down the carbon footprint associated with electricity use. Another approach to reducing carbon footprints is through changes in transportation habits. Since vehicles are a major source of carbon emissions, opting for public transportation, carpooling, or using electric vehicles can make a substantial difference. Even choosing to walk or cycle instead of driving for short trips can contribute to a lower carbon footprint. Furthermore, reducing air travel, which has a high carbon cost per mile, is another effective strategy. In addition to energy and transportation, changes in diet can also help reduce carbon footprints. The production of meat, particularly beef, generates a large amount of greenhouse gases due to the energy-intensive nature of livestock farming and methane emissions from cattle. By consuming less meat and more plant-based foods, individuals can lower their personal carbon footprint. Similarly, reducing food waste is crucial, as discarded food contributes to unnecessary emissions, both from its production and from the methane released as it decomposes in landfills. Despite these potential reductions, achieving significant and sustained decreases in carbon footprints remains difficult. One of the primary challenges is the scale of the changes required. For instance, transitioning entire energy grids from fossil fuels to renewables involves significant investments in infrastructure and technology, as well as overcoming political and economic hurdles. Similarly, while individuals can make changes in their daily lives, systemic issues such as the lack of accessible public transportation or the high cost of electric vehicles can limit the impact of personal choices. Another difficulty lies in the rebound effect, where the benefits of efficiency improvements are offset by increased consumption elsewhere. For example, a person might save energy by driving a more fuel-efficient car, but then use the savings to take a long-haul flight, thereby negating the overall reduction in emissions. Additionally, there is the challenge of aligning the interests of different stakeholders, governments, businesses, and consumers, who may have conflicting priorities when it comes to reducing emissions. In conclusion, while carbon footprints are an essential tool for understanding and addressing climate change, they are inherently tricky to measure due to the complexity of the factors involved. There are various ways to reduce carbon footprints, such as improving energy efficiency, changing transportation habits, and altering diets. But achieving these reductions is challenging. The scale of the changes needed, coupled with systemic obstacles and the potential for unintended consequences, makes it difficult to achieve meaningful reductions in carbon footprints on a global scale. Nonetheless, continued efforts at all levels, individual, corporate, and governmental, are crucial in the fight against climate change.